Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, the number one media network in the United States of America. And also Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe according to Big C and his good old boys down south. I also want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you for following Big C Sports also across the pond in Paris and also in London. I just want to tell you thank you so much for following Big C Sports. And I also want to say I'm so proud of Canada, especially your Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, and he says diversity does matter. So I want to thank you, Canada. I know I love your national anthem, and I appreciate your mindset as well. But Big C, there's still no one I love more than the land of the free and the home of the brave. With all the stuff happening in the country with sports and politics in Hollywood, how you good old boys doing down south, Big C? Oh, yeah. That is so funny. I'm telling you, what I love about America, you can see it going on right now. People think America is the land of the free and the home of the brave, but America is a land where you got to vote for what you want, and you definitely have to march for what you want, because, you know, freedom comes with a cost. Who was it, the great actor? Was it Jack Nicholson? He said, you can't handle the truth when he's talking to Tom Cruise. Well,
I thought he was calling Kellyanne Conway.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's an alternative fact, Big C. I apologize. I got to learn my history, okay? I'm sorry about that, Big C. But, you know, I just want to commend you for so many things, because, you know, you get a little edgy at times, Big C, and sometimes I feel like, you know, I still go back to the time I came down south to visit with you and your good old boys, and you kind of taught me a lesson in respect. I said, man, why do you keep this car so muddy and so dirty? You said, hey, it's my car, you don't like it, get out. Okay, remember that, Big C? so I learned something, and ironically, that's the same thing that's going on at the White House. You have Donald Trump and his spokesperson, I think it's Sean Spicer. He's telling people, if you don't get in line with what Donald Trump says, get out. And he's talking to the people that voted for Trump, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, it's quickly how people turn on each other.
Yeah.
Everybody thought they were voting for a saint.
Yeah.
But they forgot that Lucifer still exists. You know, and that's kind of what you have with this scenario, don't it? I mean, because nobody's safe, you know.
Yeah.
When you look at how it's crossed over into sports,
yeah.
You know, this frivolous law that he called himself passing along with Banyan.
Yeah.
And you know, how are all these Republican politicians feeling now, Dalton? That he's gone out and he's finagled them to have them think what he was talking was factual stuff in his campaign. And now he's putting America at peril.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I hate about it, Dalton. We have so many fine athletes. You look at the sports that are being played right now, Dalton. The NHL.
Yeah.
The NHL, you know, half the NHL is from foreign countries.
Yeah.
You know, we got about 12 Americans playing there and about 20 Canadians. The rest of them are from foreign countries. And so how are these people's visas going to be valid? Because some of them are in the bloc countries, Charlton, that he has proposed. We know we have 2 NBA players that are from those bloc countries. And so when you think about that, you know, what is he doing to livelihoods, to families, and not just the athletes, Charlton, the layman person. But, you know, most people will recognize from an athlete's perspective faster than they will anything else.
Yeah,
you know, and so when you're challenging that, you know, these people that have fought up the toughest battle they can get to America to become, you know, a sports person of their dream.
Yeah.
And here it is, Donald Trump said it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder how would people react if he passed the law against people with fake hairdos.
I don't know if that would happen, Big C, but I do want to say today's section is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. Today is January 30th, 2017. And Big C, again, I do apologize about saying, why don't you clean this car? Because I saw Madison Bumgarner, he's doing the same thing to his fort, that good old boy for the San Francisco Giants, the baseball pitcher. None of you guys have respect for Carr. Is this because you guys have championship rings, Big C? Is that what it is?
We respect the Cardinals. The bling bling on our hands, might be a little more than the bling bling on the Cardinals.
Yeah. That's funny.
I put it this way, Charles. Anybody can buy the Escalade, okay?
Not anybody, Big C. You gotta have money. Okay.
But everybody can't wear a championship ring.
Oh, that's true.
Or a few of them.
Okay, that's true, Big Z. It is definitely the standard of the world. But, you know, I love what's going on. We're getting ready for the Big C Super Bowl show down in the great state of Texas. So much is happening down in the great state of Texas. We have Donald Trump protests talking about building the wall, and the Mexican government saying, hell no, we're not paying for it. How are we going to pay to enslave our own people? That doesn't make any sense, Big C. But I do want to pay attention a little bit here to all of the great things going on in the great state of Texas, because, you know, the football is going to be at what's the name of the stadium down there in Houston?
It's called Reliant Stadium. It actually sits right across the parking lot from the original Dome Stadium, the Houston Astrodome. They both sit on the same, landmass.
Really?
Right there. But and the Houston Astrodome, it still sits there. It's the dilapidated facility now.
Yeah.
At one time it was called the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah, and it really is the eighth wonder of the world now. Now, I just want to commend you on something else about being president. We talked about how sometimes you can be a little bit crotchety, Big C, when you don't have enough moonshine in your blood. And I was talking to you when you brought up the show, let's do Big C Sports, when we were over at Salem Media. And you wanted to be real sports talk. And I was saying, I was a little bit of a sycophant too. I was saying, well, we don't want to call things out that people don't want to hear about or make someone feel a little bit uncomfortable. But you said, no, we either do it real or we don't do it at all.
Charlton, you talk about feeling uncomfortable. You ever have backlash?
No. No, I've never had that. Okay. You and Rush Limbaugh got something to make you feel uncomfortable. Get some oxycontin for that, Big C. But I just want to commend you because last year when we started Big C Sports, we talked about some things that the great Muhammad Ali was doing, and then, unfortunately, he ended up passing away, and we had Jim Brown and Harry Epps and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and all of the TV brethren, from Al Michaels to just everybody that loves sports. They all had something great to say about the great Muhammad Ali. And then we had Chris Rock with the Oscars. It was about Oscars so white and how Will Smith had boycotted the Oscars, and so many other people were saying they were tired of seeing Hollywood being a segregated, community, Big C. And then we get on to LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony and Dwayne Wade, and I think that was Chris Bosh. They wanted to do something to bridge our society. We had the theme with Colin Kaepernick taking a knee because he did not appreciate some of the things that happened to African Americans. I want to bring this up. The great Tom Brady today had a speech, Big C. He and Bob Kraft right behind him as they were getting ready to get on the plane to go to Houston. He gave a speech about let's go win this game. And he said, forget about all the other crap out there. And there's about 1 million people that marched in Boston over the last week. So he calls his fans caring about crap, Big C. Your thoughts on the great Tom Brady, Big C?
Well, when you sit there and you call yourself an American icon, American hero, American status symbol, Charlton, the most recognizable figure there in all of Boston, and they have some great sports organizations. But to go out and let the local people down to defend Donald Trump by not making a comment on his negative actions and stance that he has taken against American society. Well, when you look at Boston, Charlton, when you think about the heritage and the legacy of Boston, the Boston Tea Party,
yeah,
the revolt against England for tyranny from that country. And here it is, we have tyranny in the United States from Donald Trump.
Yeah.
When you look at how he's dealing with American citizens, people who want to come to this country, Charlton, and develop citizenship.
Yeah.
Get away from hardships in their homelands. And he's calling these people technically criminals, Charlton.
Yeah.
Every one of them. He's labeling people as criminals. Donald Trump is the biggest criminal we have going on in America.
Yeah.
You can call him the president, but I'm behind John Lewis when it comes to this. There's some illegitimacy about what he's doing because all of what he's doing, Charlton, is unlawful.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. They're unlawful, these acts that he's doing along with his sidekick, Steve Bannon, who is from the alt-right. the Aryan nation.
Yeah.
You know, and when you think about what the Aryan nation stood for under Hitler, and the people and the atrocities that, you know, went on around the world from this culture of people, this is what Trump is enacting.
Yeah.
You know, I go back to his inaugural speech, Charlton, and a lot of people didn't catch all of what he said. But there was a line in his speech from one of the Batman movies. There was this character named Bane.
Yeah.
Okay, it was actually two lines that he used in his speech. And they were neo-Nazi sayings that he used. And so he used these in his inauguration speech. And people said, well, no, he was just expressing himself.
Yeah.
You can't express yourself when you're plagiarizing. Ask his wife when she plagiarized Michelle Obama at the convention. And said, you know, it was an eloquent speech. Yes, it was when Michelle did it, but it was a plagiarized speech when Melania Trump did it.
Well, you know,
that's the reason why she won't show her face anymore.
And that's so. Well, we know that marriage is always staged anyway, Big C, especially his and hers. But that's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about either. But I just want to bring up the fact that even as we speak, they are actually marching from the U.S. Capitol to the Supreme Court in protest of this bigotry that's manifested itself in the White House. And even the acting Attorney General, Sally Yates, she said that she's telling the Department of Justice to not defend this unlawful act that Donald Trump is trying to pull off. And unfortunately, there's too many knuckleheads that will defend it. But I just want to get into a few more things too. I want to congratulate, you know how Big C Sports is the #1 show in the universe, and the views that you've espoused, Big C. And I really appreciate you, because sometimes I think maybe you go too far. But what you've been saying over the last year, it's also being vetted by the British former Prime Minister Boris Johnson. It's also talking about it, the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel, London, Toronto, Ottawa, all over the world, Big C. It's not just in the United States that people are offended by that. So what I want to bring this up, I just want your opinion again, Big C. I'm looking at Wolf Blitzer on CNN, one of the most erudite men in the world of media. Really appreciate his work. But when I see the Super Bowl can bring everybody together or can tear us apart, I think it's time to let the kids stay home and let the grown men start speaking about something other than let's just play football. So when I see Tom Brady and Bob Kraft giving a speech to the fans in New England before they take off to the Super Bowl, they said nothing about acknowledging some of the hatred and the bigotry that's going on. And it's not because he's America's, I guess, prodigal quarterback. I look at Steve Kerr, the coach for the Golden State Warriors. He spoke up against Trump. Greg Popovich, the coach of the San Antonio Warriors, he spoke out against Trump's bigoted behavior. Mark Cuban, the Dallas Mavericks. Van Gundy, an NBA analyst, along with several other people like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Colin Kaepernick, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There's so many athletes that have enough concern about our society to call a bigot and a spade a spade. So why did Bob Kraft and Tom Brady say nothing at all? Not one thing about the million people that marched in Boston, because they don't want hatred in a divided country. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you have to wonder whether they side with his beliefs. You know, we know they have an association with him. Don't know the extent of that relationship, but they must side with his beliefs when they don't speak about it. And to sit there and say it doesn't cross over into sports, yes, it does, Charlton. But when you think about a lot of the players on the New England team, some of those players, you know, parents have come and grandparents have come from these foreign countries.
Yeah.
And you have to look at that. You have to respect that. But you can't turn your back on society. You can't turn your back on your team. You know, and this is a chance where you have a player of Brady's stature to be larger than the game. He's
no Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that's for sure. And he's not even LeBron James, Big C, or he's not even Carmelo Anthony. But they put him on a pedestal. He's either ignorant or he's just a dumb person, Big C. And I'm calling people out because it's a fact.
He'll fight against the deflated football.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
He'll fight against the deflated football, but he won't fight for American lives. And this is what we've talked about before, you know, when you've had Donald Trump get 6 deferments from Vietnam, and yet he had soldiers killed the other night.
Yeah.
In Afghanistan.
Yeah.
He couldn't wait to get into office to have a soldier lose his life. And for what? Talking about he's going to eradicate ISIS. ISIS, you cannot eradicate something that you cannot see. You know, it's like we all have had ants in our house. Okay?
Yeah.
We bought all the bug spray we can our entire lifetime, and the ants still keep coming back. This is ISIS. something is going to keep coming back. This is the Middle East where they have fought forever over there.
Yeah.
And the thing that I've learned about ISIS, Charlton, since they've been in existence, and you know, I'm not that smart. I get told that all the time.
Yeah, I understand.
Is that it's almost like the black drug dealers in America, okay?
Yeah.
ISIS reminds me of them. They don't have any boats, and they don't have any planes.
No.
So how in the hell is ISIS a threat to the U.S. unless you bring them here?
Yeah,
okay?
that's true.
Unless you bring them here, if you leave them alone, stop showing them on the news, they will go away. You know, the people who you show all the time doing wrong, keep doing wrong, because all of a sudden they get notoriety.
Well,
we understand that the internet is there. You can block anything on the internet. Just call the Russians, they'll block it for you. They know how to anything.
Well, I just want to say this segment is sponsored by the California Lottery. What can a buck do for you? And I believe the Mega Millions about $200 million now, Big C. That's also won by Charlton and Big C Sports, according to Kellyanne Conway. But that's not an alternative fact, Big C. I think we really won that thing. I keep itching. You asked me if I had jock itch before. Maybe that's what it is. I didn't know what that was. So hopefully it's because we won that lotto, Big C. I just want to tell you that. Also, I'm having so much fun watching all the politics in sports now. And again, I want to give you credit because you're not a dumb person and you're not a guy who's afraid to say what's going to help keep people safe.
That was an alternative.
Okay, well, I just want to. I'm not kissing up because I want some more catfish, Big C. That was a good catfish you sent out here. Next time, put it on the ice, Big C. It lasts a little bit longer for me. Okay, but I just want to get back to this thing about what's happening in our country, because the Super Bowl is the biggest sporting event in the history of television, and it's going to bring a whole world of people together. And I hope this is a chance for athletes who care about their kids and who really care about America to say something. I want to contrast this, America's prodigal children. They always want to build up the right quarterback. And here's a guy who's being put on a pedestal for all of his career, Tom Brady, went to the university. Yeah.
Okay. Who's broadcasting the Super Bowl?
I think it's going to be Fox. Is it Fox this year?
Okay, Fox. All right. You just answered the question right there.
Oh, wow.
The same people who have Fox News on television.
Yeah.
The alternative truth, okay? There's nothing going to be said negative that would incite any political division in America in a sporting event because Fox is controlling this.
Well, see,
Fox is total Trump, anti-everything else. And so you won't see anything spoken about any of that. And Houston is a refugee city, Charles.
Yeah.
When we think about that, Houston is a refugee city. And when you think about it, you have the Rockets there, you have the Astros there, you have the Texans, the professional sports teams, Charles.
The Spurs.
Right there, the Spurs are there. They're in San Antonio,
Yeah.
in South Texas.
Yeah.
But when you think about just that city and what it represents, the city has two dome stadiums. Actually, all three, because the basketball arena is the dome also, but they got a dome baseball stadium, a dome football stadium. The only city with two dome stadiums, with the Astrodome.
Yeah.
And this is a city that when you think about the culture that comes through, especially through South America, Charlton.
Yeah.
That comes in. I mean, it's a gateway to Mexico. Houston is half of that city's population is Hispanic. I think it's 53% of that city's population is Hispanic.
Wow.
So when Donald Trump wants to say that these people are leeching off America and 53% of the population is of one ethnicity, I gotta think there's a huge taxpayers.
Yeah.
When you look at it.
Of course.
Sports fans, especially baseball. They're packing the baseball stadium with the Astros, and I'm quite sure they have a soccer team down there.
Yeah.
With all the Hispanic population. But they also go to the games, basketball games, as well as football games, Charlton. So to label these citizens the way that they've been labeled and racially profiled.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's a shame. We thought we had moved beyond that, with desegregation.
Yeah.
In the late 60s, early 70s, that, the integration of America to let everybody have a chance for advancement in society and in life. But this is what Donald Trump also campaigned on.
Yeah.
We're going to take things back to where they used to be. And that's what he was talking about. But the dumb people that did not understand what he was saying are now starting to see that. And if it hits society, Jonathan, how does it hit sports?
Yeah.
How do you desegregate sports? Because this is where it's going to go. It's not just going to stop in society. So You think about the Williams sisters, Charlton, who were just in the finals down at the Australian Open.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful sight. We're maybe able to go to these other countries now, Australia,
Wow.
France, England, and playing these World Cup events of tennis. Think about golf, how it's played around the world, Charlton. American players, think about the pros that are on the PGA Tour that are European and other nations.
Yeah.
That will not be able to come. Let me give our listeners a curious point here to understand why Donald Trump sectioned out certain seven countries that he said people could not come into America from.
Yeah.
And he did not single out those countries that known terrorists in America has come from.
Right.
Why? Because Donald Trump has business interests in those countries.
Yeah.
Okay? Those companies that he did not put the sanctions on, and people say, why didn't he do these countries where these terrorists have come from? Because Donald Trump has business interests in those countries.
Yeah.
He is not going to cut off his nose and spite his face, even though it might make him look better.
I understand.
And this is what people need to understand. Donald Trump is protecting his world business interests. So if he limits traffic out of those other countries, he creates frustration over this.
Yeah.
But he's not going to block the countries that he does business with, Russia and those other countries. I mean, who's going to come in from Sudan and do anything? Nobody.
Right.
You're talking about a desert country. And he's blocking a country that's meaningless as far as that. He didn't block the United Arab Emirates because he owes them money.
Yeah.
He didn't block Russia because he owes them money. And several other terrorist countries that he did not block because he owes them money. They own Donald Trump. And as soon as the American public can see who owns Donald Trump, they'll be, expediting his impeachment.
Well, you know what's funny about that, Big C? There's an article out there. There's a guy, his name is Sean King, I believe, but he does a lot of writing on Twitter. There's another gentleman, Donald Trump, he has a lot of money hidden in trust. And whether it's Grand Cayman Islands or like Mitt Romney, a lot of those guys do that. But he owns about 19% in a Russian bank. And it's amazing that Fox News won't even cover it. He owns 19% in a Russian bank. That's why he's in love with Putin that he's never met, Big C, okay? People should know that. If we know that on Big C Sports, how come ESPN and CNN can't pull it up? They all know it's true, Big C. I want to say this segment is sponsored by United Labor Guaranteed $100,000 life insurance with no medical questions. We're also endorsed by the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society. We work with all of the unions in the country under the AFL-CIO because we simply want to put Americans back to work. We are looking at hiring over 1,000 licensed insurance brokers. Tweet out to Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide. And I want to tell you also, Big C, there's another thing that's sinister in the White House, and that's why you have so many people. Nancy Pelosi, she was speaking today at the Capitol. Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer, Donald Trump accused him of fake crying, Big C, because his heart is saddened that he knows people who are being, religiously profiled or racially profiled. But this is not what America's founding fathers wanted us to be. They want us to have a chance to have a better union. Now, who in the hell can say they missed President Obama at this time, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I think about Chuck Schumer, Charlton. And, his grandparents came to this country as immigrants. They landed on Ellis Island. Not many people know his middle name is Ellis.
Yeah.
Charles Ellis Schumer. They named him, they gave his middle name after Ellis Island, the first place that his grandparents landed in America, Charlton. That's how significant it is in his life to have immigrants to be able to come to this country, because without that, he would not be representing us, in the Congress.
Yeah.
So, when you take a guy who's never had anything to do with politics, and that's the president that we have.
Yeah.
Never been making political decisions.
He's like John Lynch becoming the GM for the 49ers, Big C. They don't care about your experience.
He's like diarrhea.
Okay. All right.
It's just flowing in his head.
Right.
And they don't even know what he's right. It's just flowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to speak on that point about John Lynch, the 49ers, your buddies,
yeah, I guess so. They don't return my phone calls, Big C.
Everybody thought, that they might have gotten it right when they got rid of Trent Baalke.
Yeah.
But, they hired John Lynch, and this is not a knock against John Lynch, the person.
Yeah, he's a good man. He doesn't have experience.
This is a knock against John Lynch, the non-knowledgeable football person from a personnel perspective.
Yeah.
Just because you sit up in the booth and call a game, if that's the case, Charlton, Brent Musburger, Keith Jackson, Al Michaels, all these people would have been GMs. Chris Collinsworth, James Brown, and Howie Long,
yeah.
even Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
And he's the coach.
Yeah.
Howard. These guys have expertise in the game. Okay? But you hire John Lynch, and a guy that people around you in your area will remember, Matt Millen.
Yeah.
Great linebacker with the Raiders, from a decade or so out of Penn State, All-American.
Yeah.
Even the lineman converted. Became the GM of the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
One of the most catastrophic moves in that organizational history.
Yeah.
Proud organization that he ran. They were the Cleveland Browns when he was the GM. Okay? This guy was going out drafting guys not knowing anything about talent. There was a stretch where he drafted 3 wide receivers in a row in the first round.
Ouch.
Over a 3-year span. None of them panned out, though. He just kept drafting them because they were big.
Yeah.
He was drafting, and he never built the team. And so this is what I'm looking at the 49ers. They were already in disarray.
Yeah.
And there were plenty of guys out there, such as a Louis Riddick, who works for the ESPN.
He's amazing. He's the smartest guy in football. And they won't give him a job. Maybe he should have lightened his skin a little bit more, Big Z. Maybe they would have looked at him then.
Well, he was Bill Colby in Charlton.
Yeah.
Who built a couple different Super Bowl organizations in building the Buffalo Bills, building the Indianapolis Colts, and you look at the 2 great quarterbacks he had, Jim Kelly and Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
In those organizations, and just the supporting cast that they had. Between those 2 guys, Charlton, he had 6 Super Bowl appearances.
Wow.
And he wasn't qualified for the job. So, you wonder what the 49ers are really looking for. And John Lynch, like I said, I don't knock him as a person.
Yeah.
But what is he going to bring to the table that can make him more knowledgeable than people with GM experience, or even directors of player personnel, Charlton?
Yeah.
They have more experience than what a Lynch has. They've sit in the war room, they've analyzed talent. Just because you can semi-analyze, well, he wasn't that great of an analyst. I'm being honest.
Right.
He never said anything in the game that liked me that I would know more
right.
when the game was over. So, if his games were lackluster as a broadcaster, how is his production in bringing in players, evaluating players, going to be?
I don't understand.
He was one of the greatest defenses of all time, Charlton, with the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Okay? But, when he was with those guys, it made it easy for him to make tackles.
Yeah.
So, he had great fronts, great linebackers. And they won a Super Bowl. But John Lynch wasn't the greatest safety in the game when he was around there. I can think of a half a dozen safeties in a heartbeat that were greater than John Lynch. He finished his career in Denver, okay?
Yeah.
Steve Atwater was the greatest safety that ever played in Denver.
Out of Arkansas. Yeah.
Out of Arkansas. 4'2", 225. John Lynch couldn't hold his job, but he played, okay?
Right.
I give him credit for playing.
Right.
He wasn't better than Ronnie Lott, who played safety. He wasn't better than Jack Tatum, the late Jack Tatum.
Yeah.
Roger Willie, who played in St. Louis, who has the all-time NFL records for safety.
Yeah.
He was number 8 in St. Louis back in the 60s and 70s. Great safety. He doesn't have more knowledge than him. So when you bring in people in because of fanfare, I would rather have Troy Aikman or Phil Simms if I was going to take a former player that's sitting in a broadcast booth.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to think of their knowledge as far as offensive personnel. They're going to know what a team needs.
Yeah.
John Lynch, how's he going to know what the 49ers need? And they need offensive personnel, Charles.
Yeah, I know. That's the same thing we talked about before. They already have the last quarterback to ever go to the Super Bowl for them was Colin Kaepernick. They're still trying to run him out of town to get maybe Cousins out of Washington that's also sitting home during the playoffs, Big C, but maybe that's just the way the organization's gone. I always thought Steve Young would be a great pick for the 49ers because he could mentor Colin Kaepernick. At least you have a guy who's been to the Super Bowl. Right now, when we talk about contrasting politics and in sports and religion, I look at right now, Breitbart Media, you look at Steve Bannon, he's 62 years old. He's been a producer in Hollywood. He was 7 years in the Navy, and now he's part of the National Security Council. He has a permanent seat given by POTUS. And you think about it, Robert Gates, who served 8 United States presidents. 8. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He says that this is a big mistake that Donald Trump is doing. We really know it's President Bannon, it's not President Donald Trump. But even Senator John McCain, they're all saying, what the hell's going on in our country? They're a lot like, who's that good old boy coach down at Green Bay Packers, the one everybody loves? What's it, back in the day? Yeah. And he's like, what in the hell's going on? And that's the thing with our country. And I think, again, you started all this talk before, so the 49ers are doing just like the people that put Trump in office when his speaker could tell him, Sean Spicer says, get the hell out of the country. If you don't like what we're doing, get with the program and all that jazz. That's for the white people that voted for him and all the other people, but mostly Caucasian that felt they were disenfranchised. He's telling them, if you don't get the program, get the hell out of the country. BC, that's crazy. I never thought our society would turn that way like we're in the 1940s all over again, but I think the 49ers, you can look at their decision making a lot like that. Get the most unqualified person, someone with no experience, because you want to shake up the status quo. Is that what they're doing, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charles, it wasn't even a fact of shaking up the status quo. You know, we always want to think that America is advanced. You know, but so much of America, and especially Congress, was mad because we had a black president for 8 years.
Oh, they want him back now, Big C. Didn't they tell him once you go black, you don't go back, Big C? Aren't they wishing they could get Obama back in the White House at protest?
You know, somebody that would listen to them and they could listen to, and they could understand what he was saying, and that he just didn't talk rhetoric. He spoke the truth.
Yeah.
You know, he spoke with knowledge. He spoke with eloquence. But now we got this buffoon out there holding a three-ring circus and bringing in his own press, you know, saying it out to everybody else, and always got fans behind it.
Yeah.
And you notice that? He can never be in a room by himself. He always brings in his fans and his employees. And you know, I go back to that embarrassing moment that he did to America when we went to the CIA job, and he stood amongst the wall of stars.
Yeah.
And that's for fallen CIA agents, you know, from the agency. And he's sitting there talking about himself and how people are lying on him and lying the whole time while he's talking their talk.
Yeah.
But he was an embarrassment. But he had a crowd there. And I think one of the things that went over the head of a lot of Americans on that day, Charles, this was done on a Saturday, okay?
Yeah.
Most of the CIA and most government offices are what on a Saturday in Washington?
Yeah, they closed.
They're closed.
Yeah.
So what he did was brought his staff from the White House and made an audience with them, okay? He lied to the American public about the people that were applauding him. There were some menial people around there from the CIA, some security staff and other things like that.
Yeah.
Just a small workforce. But he brought his staff from the White House. That's why you never see him panning the audience when he speaks, because it's the same faces.
It's like 25 people always standing behind him, Big C, in front of a mirror, so it looks like 50 people, Big C. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care when he speaks, he's always has people behind him.
Yeah.
And about what's the significance? You know, we saw President Obama for years, and he didn't need a crowd when he was on the mic.
Yeah.
The crowd was in front of him. He addressed the people in front of him. He was not, you know, wanting people behind him applauding what he said. I think the largest crowd that was ever behind President Obama at any time he spoke, well, there was a couple of them.
Yeah.
But, you know, he had some sports teams, but that was, acknowledging them. But when he gave out the Presidential Medal of Freedom, those would be the largest crowd behind the president at that time, the real president.
Yeah.
But, you know, this guy here, I got to bring my actors. These are like fill-ins, like when he announced his presidency, his campaign for presidency in the Trump Tower. And they had this huge crowd at Trump Tower. All those people were paid $50 for coming in there.
I know.
Because when you looked at that mixed crowd that was there, Trump, you had kids standing up. What the hell is a kid going to be doing midweek? You had senior citizens there, Charles.
Yeah.
You had high schools, you had college kids.
So he's paying people to not go to school? Is that what he's doing? Pay them to not go to school, Big C?
He was paid. He was so desperate to have a crowd and an audience. And when you look at these rallies that he always had, he was always pointing out all these people all over the place. You never saw a cameraman pan and show the crowd. Yes, he didn't win the popular vote, he won the electoral college, but we never saw these massive crowds that he was always talking about. I know there was one, he went down to Alabama, and I believe he was in Birmingham, him and Jeff Sessions.
Jeff Sessions, his good old boyfriend, yeah.
They had it set up to do it in the Birmingham Arena downtown at Birmingham. Then they moved it to the Senior Bowl where they played the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the crowd. So I think they had like 11,000 people in a football stadium.
Yeah.
Which would have all fit inside the basketball arena.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he thought he would create this illusion of grandeur, and yet they could not pan around the stadium. It looked like an early bowl game during the college football season.
Well, we hope that he doesn't bring on Sessions. Hopefully, he's not confirmed. And when you think about this too, for all the people that say this is a sports show, we don't talk about politics. Now, ESPN, ABC News had a guy from ESPN, African American guy, can't remember his name, but he's a good writer, has dreadlocks. They had him on an ABC News show getting a sports commentator's opinion about what the Trump decision is doing to this country, because sports is worldwide. I just want to keep people in mind that the National Security Council, the NSC, that was created after World War II. It was to help advise the president and the vice president, along with the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They were his security councils to make sure that the president had some good people around him making decisions, whether it's going to war, how to keep our country safe. Well, Bannon's put all those people on, I guess you could say, you're fired, Donald Trump's favorite term is Big C. Well, they put them off to the side, locked them up in some box and said, we'll call you if we need you. They've been in place since World War II, Big C. Now they're trying to get this oligarchy of power to this one person in President Bannon, and we know that Trump owns about 19% in a Russian bank. A lot of bad stuff is going on in our country. It has to be, yeah.
They put this ban on basically Muslim countries. Okay?
Yeah.
Mainly Muslim population, talking about terrorists. Okay, so how do you put a ban on people like Dylan Booth, the Charleston killer down in South Carolina?
Wow.
Okay, how do you put a ban on the kid who went into the school at Sandy Hook and shot up the school? I mean, they don't talk about the family down there.
What about Timothy McVeigh down in Oklahoma City? Timothy McVeigh.
Timothy McVeigh, the Burrow brother. But they'll talk about the couple down in Southern California, San Bernardino. Okay? Yes, that was a wrong act. They'll talk about the guy who shot up the nightclub in Orlando. Yes, that was a wrong act. But they say nothing about these white killers in America. How do you get those guys? How do you stop them? We see this all the time, Jonathan. Matter of fact, there was one up in Canada today, up in Quebec.
Yeah.
Where a guy goes in and shoots up, a mosque up there.
Yeah.
And also one of his college professors. So when we think about this, Jonathan, when you look at these mass crimes that have occurred in America, these mass shootings, majority of them have been done by white males.
I know it.
White American males.
Yeah.
It's never talked about. It's okay, they're frustrated, the wife left them, things like that, so that they were having problems. But if America sit down and thought about it, the majority of mass shootings in America have occurred by white males. We've had this stray, Middle Eastern or whatever has done it, and it's all wrong.
It's all wrong, yeah.
But nobody's sitting and talking about the white males. I remember when Timothy McVeigh blew up the Burrow building. All of a sudden, there was an act of terror. We were attacked from an outside source.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they found it was a guy from down the street at the trailer park who did it. His check didn't come.
Yeah.
So he was mad. So he go rent a rental truck and blew up the building.
Yeah. Well, Big C, we know. Yeah. And see, that's one thing I'm not looking to the church to bring everybody together. There was a program that talked about a lot of these televangelists now. They make billions of dollars combined. They don't give that money to the cause they say they're giving it to. They definitely don't give it to God. They give it to whatever political affiliation they want to give it to. But I mean, that's a religious thing. It's not going to bring people together. Politics, maybe it can. I'm having so much hope in American citizens now, because people are starting to say this is not acceptable. I just want to bring this point up because I think it's powerful. There's a gentleman that plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. He goes by the name of, I think his name is Hussein Abdullah, and he says that disagreements are okay. Different beliefs, they're okay too. And different political views, they're okay. But the dehumanization of human beings, that's not okay, and that's why I'm so disappointed in Bob Kraft and Tom Brady, because they've been put on a pedestal. Tom Brady went to Sarah High School in San Mateo. That's a Catholic high school. They talk about Christianity. Then he went to Michigan, which is a great school, has some great coaching there at Michigan. Now he's back in Boston. That's where you have great institutions like Harvard. That's in Boston. Now that's in Cambridge. There's some great minds back there. You think he's so aloof that he runs away from people who are intelligent, and he only stays around people who want him to be the dumb jock? He has a chance to represent the same thing that LeBron James did, the same thing that Carmelo Anthony did, the same thing that Colin Kaepernick did. They're prescient enough to keep our country strong. I just hope that he has a heart to do that, because he's going to be asked that question by somebody, because sports heroes right now, they have a chance to help bring us together or pull us apart. Big C, your thoughts on that?
Well, Charles, you talk about Brady being in Massachusetts, you know, one of the original spots of America, especially when it came to political...
13 original colonies, yeah.
But I also think about the worldwide leader in sports. They're right down the street in Bristol, Connecticut. When you see Tom Brady, you normally see him on the worldwide leader in sports. What stops them from asking the question? I mean, we can point the camera at Tom Brady, but who has the mic in their hand, Charlton? Who's analyzing everything? What stops the worldwide leader in sports from addressing these issues? They need to, Charlton. I mean, yes, we can talk about Tom Brady because he's part of it.
Yeah.
But the leader of it is ESPN and ABC. There's a worldwide leader, Charlton, the Disney Corporation. Now, you're going to tell me that Disney does not utilize the money from Muslims at any of their parks, Charlton?
Wow.
Disney Japan, Disney LA, Disney Orlando, okay?
Yeah.
You're going to tell me they do not utilize the money. Disney films, Charlton, that use different types of ethnicities in their films and their children's shows.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that they don't utilize Muslim money, Charlton. They utilize the culture, Charlton. So Disney, which is the parent company of ESPN and ABC, that they don't have a responsibility to our society. They also broadcast the NBA, all right? They broadcast Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
They broadcast college football. They broadcast every college sport, Charlton. Disney Corporation owns ESPN and ABC. The worldwide leader in sports is misrepresenting its cause by not talking about these issues.
Yeah.
But yet they will cover Trump, but they won't cover his issues in extent.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to be done. You know, they allow him to come on broadcast. I think it was CBS, the Army-Navy game.
Yeah.
Cold as hell that night out there.
Yeah.
You know, I heard he came up and they let him in the booth. For what? You know, for what? There was nobody that happy about seeing him. And yet, all of a sudden, you know, his first week in office, he's costing soldiers their lives over in the Middle East.
Wow.
Right, Charlton. You know, here's a guy who had 6 deferrals from Vietnam, but he couldn't wait to get in the office to cost some soldiers their lives, Charlton, over in the Middle East. And for what?
That's incredible.
You got one Osprey going in. How many, you know, Al-Qaeda people, whoever they after, they're going to knock off.
They're after the oil, Big C. They're trying to get a reaction out of the Middle East so they can go bomb the Middle East and keep the oil this time. He even said that on ABC. He was talking to, I can't remember the gentleman he was talking to, but he was saying they should have kept the oil, which is a war crime. That's what the first Bush administration and the second administration tried to do, and that's his plan. That's part of their plan to create a smokescreen. But I do want to say this segment is also sponsored by One Life America Life Insurance. We're the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. Tweet out to Charlton and Big C Sports. Also, I want to say that for people who think about United States of America, what does it mean? How can we be the leaders of the free world? We know that sports will galvanize people. We know that Big C Sports is the #1 sports show in the universe. It's undisputed. We bring you politics, we bring you sports. We even talk a little bit about religion, but we talk about equality. We're not about segregation. We're not about hate. I do want to say that money helps the world go around. If you're looking for business credit, we can help you create your Dun & Bradstreet. Tweet out to Big C Sports at Yes Charlton on Twitter, and we can help you find out how to structure yourself to start using business credit instead of all those 19 credit cards and a lot of you good old boys back pockets, Big C. I just want to say also, it's so important that we try to give opportunities to people. And not everybody has the heart. Big C, a lot of people are not as bold as you. So they just want to do it. I want to just touch on a little bit of the NHL All-Star Game. That was won by the Metropolitan Division, and I think they defeated the Pacific Division 4-3. That was at Staples Center in Los Angeles. And, of course, the Serena Williams and Roger Federer, they made history by winning the Australian Open. So that was great. But on the worldwide stage, okay, the worldwide stage, it pales in comparison to humanity coming together. We talk about the great Dr. Martin Luther King holiday. Imagine that was preceded by this Trump garbage. And it makes me appreciate how much more Dr. King meant to not just our society in the United States, but in the world, Big C. And I'm so proud of this British former Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, and also the Germany Chancellor, Angela Merkel. I'm proud of Nancy Pelosi. I'm proud of Chuck Schumer. I'm proud of these people who have political clout and are not standing by letting bad take over. That's what happened to Jews when Hitler was doing his thing. The world stood by and they said nothing. And we had the Holocaust, and that's a shame. We can never get those people back. But we can get rid of that mentality. And if you're just a dumb person, all you want to know is who won the game, then turn to another station, because that would be irresponsible, in my opinion. I do miss guys like Walter Cronkite, Just the Facts, Big C. So as we get into our final segment, how would you like to see the world of sports come together? We know we can't get it from Bob Kraft. He just wants to have another drink and watch a football game that may be deflated, Big C. But what can all of our sports leaders do, like a Greg Popovich, like a Steve Kerr, like a Mark Cuban, or Van Gundy, the guys who have common sense and they care about our country and not just sports fans? Big C, your thoughts? Your thoughts on how that could happen, Big C?
Everybody in society understands how diverse sports are, Charles.
Yeah.
When you look at the teams, you look at the ethnic makeup of the team, and especially a team in the NBA like the San Antonio Spurs.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at the multi-countries that these players come from, how much that team means to the NBA. And they're a significant cause in the NBA, Charles. But what would the San Antonio Spurs be without Greg Popovich and his multicultural lineup?
Yeah.
You go there, you get a real lesson.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Big C.
And so they understand the importance of world knowledge and connection in San Antonio. And it's right down there on the Mexican border, Charles.
Yeah.
When you look at San Antonio. So, they have players from all over the world because they understand what diversity is. That's what America is, Jonathan, diversity. When you look at the NBA, you look at the amount of Europeans, Jonathan, that are in the NBA, okay? Spaniards, Africans, they're in the NBA.
Wow.
That's because they understand. Adam Silver, who is demanding an answer from the government about this ban because he has players in his league from these countries. This is a commissioner who is speaking up. Everybody thought Adam was going to be soft. He's not being serious.
He's pretty smart, and he has a good heart. Yeah.
And he's sincere about what he does. And this is a pace that America needs to take. I mean, he's like a politician because he's demanding from the number one politician, well, not the number one, but the lead politician in this country, answers. Just don't throw this stuff out there because we're too intelligent to sit on the fence and not worry about what you're doing to us in our league.
Yeah.
Okay? This is what is occurring to these professional leagues. We got baseball coming up, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Spring training will be starting soon. Think about the diversity of those lineups.
Wow.
Okay? Well, when you look at diversity, this big game is coming up on Sunday, some type of bowl game that they're playing down in Texas.
Wait, did you boys know in Alabama that they have a what they call the NFL Super Bowl? Do you guys understand they have one, Big C?
Well, we always talk about that in semi-pro ball.
Okay. Yeah.
We put our whole team together.
That's funny.
And I'm not talking about cows here,
okay. Well, tell Nick Saban they're playing the Super Bowl Sunday down in Texas, Big C. He might enjoy it for a half.
Let's look at this game from this perspective, Jonathan. We can actually divide this game based on ethnicity.
Yeah.
Because New England actually has a black quarterback, okay?
Yeah.
So and regardless, if you put the blacks against the whites, what would the perspective of America be on that? I go back to 1975, and there were two all-black teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
And there was such a racial outcry against those teams.
In America?
There was the New York Knicks and the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Both of those teams suited all such a divide because how can you put all these black guys out there because they were the best players?
So they were like the Trump administration? Is that what you're trying to say, Big C?
America has that thing.
Yeah.
Because we weren't that far removed from St. Denis, but there was a lot of racial epithets about those two teams, Charlton. But what would the Super Bowl be without African American players, Charlton? You look at both lineups throughout all those African American players, and I'm not talking about all the players are.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you pull them out. What type of games would you have?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everybody's not talented, but
right.
What type of competitive game would you have? Do it in the NBA, okay?
Yeah.
Especially in the NBA. Take all African American players off the floor. How fast and how high would that game be played?
Well, Big C, that's incredible that you mentioned that, because when you think about the Super Bowl, I remember covering it last year in San Francisco, even down at Levi Stadium, and being in downtown San Francisco. Big C, I met people from all over the world that spoke different languages, and many of those people today would be banned from flying into the United States. And that's just because we have someone in the White House who's not even qualified to be there, and President Bannon and Vice President Donald Trump, they're not qualified. The only people that are happy about this is Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and Putin, as well as Trump and Bannon, Big C. And I think you just brought something up when you talked about the NBA. It is so diverse. We fly all over the world, but you have the national media now. You have the world media that's going to be flying into Houston, not alone all the airports all over the country that have been disrupted, and even worldwide, before the biggest sports thing in the history of the United States, Big C, and it's all being screwed up by one egotistical person, and that's Bannon and his Vice President Donald Trump. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you gotta look. There were people from those countries that are on this ban list that had credentials from Super Bowl.
Yeah.
To be able and go cover the Super Bowl.
I know.
As media.
I know.
They had media credentials, and they were not allowed into this country to go cover the media, for the Super Bowl for their nationality.
Yeah.
And that's what's wrong about it. He says that the media is the enemy of him now.
Yeah, they should be. They should be.
Well, they're actually going to wake up and become that. Because the greatest thing that the media could do for Donald Trump is not cover Donald Trump. Give him a month of silence. Just black him out for a month. Have no media coverage of him whatsoever. The only thing that would happen is he'd sit up in the corner and cry. I'm not popular. He had Fox there.
Yeah.
But Fox,
Fox is not news. Fox is not news.
Yeah.
I mean,
they can only tell the story from one perspective. His.
Yeah.
And so the world would stop listening because there's only Fox talking. And that's what really needs to be done. And I know they won't do it.
No, they're not going to do it.
The press forces him to cover it. He has to because the media airways are free.
Well, Big C.
And that's the reason why they didn't spend any money on the campaign because they were always covering it.
Well,
they're still doing the same thing.
Well, he already has 19% ownership in a Russian bank with Putin. That'll come out too, Big C, as people start to read, Big C. But I just want to say, I look at Hollywood, and even Hollywood has been segregated. And we know Hollywood has had its issues with hashtag Oscar So White. But I do want to commend Hollywood because they're making an effort, because they're acknowledging their segregationist behaviors down in Hollywood. I want to just talk about the 23rd Annual Screen Actors Guild Awards. There's so many actresses and actors that we're talking about. Their heart hurts because of this segregationist, this eugenic, homogenous behavior, this xenophobia that's sweeping the White House. Is not supposed to be that way. You look at Hollywood stars like Viola Davis in Fences, or Nicole Kidman from The Lion Star. You have Emma Stone from La La Land and Octavia Spencer from Hidden Fences. Hollywood is diverse now, Big C. It's not just the Denzel Washingtons, the Will Smith, the Sam Jacksons, or the Tom Cruise, or any other great actors, Tom Hanks. This country can come together if we stop being sycophants to people and stop being sycophants to politics.
Yeah. Think about those actors that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And they've all had key roles in sports movies.
Yeah.
You look at Tom Cruise, the high school player when he was a football player in the high school film.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks been a baseball coach.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington, a football coach. These players, these actors have played key roles in American society.
Yeah.
Because they've crossed over, they show the importance of making that sports role that they participate in a highlight. Something that was significant because you don't be a A-list actor and you go get in movies that are insignificant.
Yeah.
And so that shows the significance of these movies that they've been involved
Yeah.
He's playing a baseball player, in movies. So these guys, Charlton, that have gone out taking a stance politically as well as socially, and also sports actors, about being in these movies, Charlton.
Yeah.
But America needs to learn from its people, not somebody you think is your leader. I mean, even when President Obama was in office, Charlton, he listened to the people.
Yeah.
The people was his voice. He felt their pulse because he has been like normal people, Charlton. When you elect a president who has never dealt with normal people, Charlton,
Yeah.
how can you expect him to understand normal everyday life?
Yeah.
President Obama lived on the south side of Chicago, okay?
Yeah.
On the north side of Chicago. He knows what Chicago was about.
Yeah.
And there were so many people that was mad because he didn't pardon Vukovic, the guy who was the governor
Yeah.
at the time, Vukovic, who tried to sell his former Senate seat.
Yeah.
Now, he was committing a felony crime with malice because he was out there seeking millions of dollars for a senatorial seat.
Yeah.
He felt it was worth that. And so his family was mad because the president didn't pardon him.
Yeah.
Well, he did something very heinous against his state, is what he did.
Yeah.
Not a person, not an individual, but the entire state that he was trying to manipulate.
Well, Big C,
So,
yeah.
he need that.
Yeah, I agree with that. In the last 3 minutes of the program today, Big C, I want to just let people know that we just had this Miss Universe contest last night, I believe, and we had who's the Steve Harvey, the guy that went into Trump's office and fell down on his knees, and now he's in love with him. I don't know what happened in that meeting, Big C, but he was announcing Miss Universe, and it was won by I think it was Miss France. But when you think about it, they had women from all over the world, and they're there trying to do something that means a lot to them. But they were from all over the world, and here is Steve Harvey congratulating. They had, people from, I know, Bahamas, they had Colombia, they had Haiti, they had United States, of course. But here he is standing up in front of women who are coming from all over the planet, and some of them and their families couldn't even come, Big C. Yeah.
Women from those banned countries.
Yeah.
So when you think about Miss Universe and what it represents,
Yeah.
it represents the world for the beauty of the world.
Yeah.
Bringing these beautiful, intelligent women together. And Donald Trump fought the contest for years because that's the only time he could get beautiful women to be around him.
Well, they had to pay, when Donald Trump owned it, they actually had to pay $10,000 to be a part of his pageants. He wasn't invited for free, Big C.
Well, he's been known to be an extortionist, Charlton.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing right now. He's extorting America. And America needs to take its blinders off.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do good for them.
Well,
to
Big...
appeal to people, Charlton, to say, okay, we're going to bring jobs back to America.
Yeah.
Okay, what technology are you going to eliminate to do this? This is what I keep trying to understand. Where's the dumb person that believes we're going to eliminate technology from Donald Trump and we're going to bring jobs?
Yeah.
And I know you live down there in Sacramento, in one of the largest rice-producing areas of the United States.
Yeah.
And when they're using those combines out there to harvest that rice and do it efficiently, they're run by GPS satellites.
That's what I've noticed.
That's what got him. And they work 24 hours a day to get the rice done, Jonathan. They're not out there just doing sunlight hours. Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
And so that's what people don't understand. They don't need anybody down there with a stick, knocking the rice off.
No.
Gets it all off.
Yeah.
And drops it into a bin. Just like with corn harvesting, Jonathan. Cotton, I remember the cotton fields as far as I can see. And seeing people out there picking cotton, Jonathan.
Yeah.
With their hands.
Yeah. Many African Americans.
Yeah, many African Americans did it forever. Now they got these cotton combines that go through and clean the field in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
You don't need those laborers out there, Jonathan, picking that. All right, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Potatoes be done by hand. There's machines go through and dig them all up now, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Down in the South, peanuts are all done by a machine.
Yeah.
So mechanism has replaced labor. Mechanism, and this is what Donald Trump needs to say.
Well, Big C.
Mechanism has replaced labor. It's like the courier jobs that he says. So
Yeah.
He's got to tell people, 1,300 of them still went to Mexico.
Well, Big C, that's a lot of knowledge. We have so much going on. It's like we keep running out of time because there's just so much. And we don't do this show with a teleprompter. We don't do this show with some producer in our ear. It's just real talk. I hope Americans really understand that freedom is something you have to fight for. Don't let somebody take it away. And on our part of Big C Sports, we're not dumb. We're not sycophants. And if that offends you, then go read some more, okay? I want to enlighten people, and I also want to be enlightened. And I want to tell you every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States, and also Big C Sports, the #1 sports show in the universe. We also want to say there's never any room for domestic violence or grabbing anybody by the crotch unwantedly. And also, if you see anyone in trouble, just call 911. No woman should have to go through that garbage on her own. I want to say every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. And we thank you. We appreciate you. And we hope that you have a super fantastic day.